everybody, and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. Now, last time we were in Gran Turismo 7, we took a look at VR through the PSVR 2 on the game. However, that was not the only thing that Sony and Filifini added during that last update. They also introduced a public version of Gran Turismo Sophy. Now, for those of you that don't know, Gran Turismo Sophy, or Sony Sophy, I believe it might also be called, is their AI program that essentially is faster than humans. So this is a public test for people to try it out so Sophy can learn a bit about how you drive, how other players drive, and I figured we would give that a go today in PlayStation VR 2. Now, there are 4 different races you can do with Sophy, you can see here, each one getting a little bit harder as well as having difficulties within them as well. So we're going to go through some of these today, take a look and see how Sophy is while we're racing in VR. This may have been a mistake, but we're going with the expert difficulty on the first race, simply because I believe it is supposed to be you have a way overpowered car. So let's go ahead, jump in here and see. 3-lap race around the Tsukuba circuit. Here we are in our Honda, green flag. Shifted up a little too much there as we head into turn 1. You can see the little emojis popping over Sophy's head. That is I don't know how you're supposed to address it, but that is how it reacts to you and what you're doing on the track. So you can see here, because we're on the expert mode, it is a little bit more difficult. You're not going to have a very overpowered car, but you still have a much faster car than the Sophys have. Whoa! Sophy shoving us out towards the grass as we come towards the hairpin. Heading up the inside, though, she is not giving us any room here. It's definitely like racing a person here. So we're going to get past the green Sophy Vert. And we have another Sophy, the purple one, who is the strongest one, I believe, along on our right side here. Now, she is in an equally matched car, I believe, or relatively close. As we come out of the corner, we're going to go, oh, Sophy taking us down to the inside as far as she possibly can. Laid on the brakes into turn 1. She outbrakes us, though, here. And Sophy Violet now looking for a move around Sophy Rouge. Gonna dive it down the inside, make a bit of contact. But we can't let Sophy Violet get too far ahead. So we are now halfway through the second lap here. And I can definitely tell you, this is way better than any of the AI Sony has implemented into one of these games so far. Already acting much more like a human and a lot of fun. Heading down the, I guess you would call it backstretch, even though it's the second to last or the last corner coming up. Sophy taking a look, but not going to be able to make a move here before the final turn. She is all over the back of Sophy Blue. A relatively good run out of the final corner, though. We're going to need to make a move here because Sophy's making a move here. Hard on the brakes, late into the corner. Ooh, but Sophy Blue's gonna go late in there as well and try to chop us off. Not gonna happen, though. We're gonna be right on the back of Sophy Violet. Here into the hairpin. Brake a little later, but she's on top of it, but she runs wide. And we're gonna get down to the inside and take the lead. You can see she is all over us in the rear view mirrors. She's just waiting for us to make a mistake here. Gonna go protective here into the hairpin. Oh, and she's into the back of us there. Don't know if you heard it, but I could feel it. And she's gonna be all over us here on the straightaway, just waiting for her opportunity to make a move. But hopefully we're not gonna let that happen here as we come towards the final turn. Gonna back up the corner a little bit so she doesn't have an opportunity to get a run out. And it looks like we're going to do it. So race 1, give that one to the humans. Not bad, but a very close race. And again, just right off the bat, 1 race in, and I have to say, I'm very impressed. Let's move on to the next one, shall we? Race number 2 takes us to France. And we are going to go ahead with the intermediate difficulty on this one, simply because out of how hard of a challenge Sophy gave us at Tsukuba on the hardest one, and these are supposed to get harder. And I'll admit, this is a track I don't know too well, so let's try the intermediate out here, see how Sophy handles that. As we get ready here, back into the cockpit we go. Green flag, there's Sophy. Violet behind us. Hard here into turn 1. Sophy Vert, I believe. If I'm pronouncing these wrong, it's my bad. But of course, these are just the colors in different languages. I believe it's French, I want to say. Through the left-hander, carrying a lot of speed. Ooh, perhaps maybe a little too much speed. Nope, we keep it grounded. Hard onto the brakes, though, for the right-hander as Sophy drifts it a bit through the corner. Little angry face from her there. Not sure what we did to make her angry. There isn't a ton of context right now as to what the smiley face means or the emojis mean. We do know it's reacting to you. We just don't know what qualifies for what as of right now. We get hard on the brakes there. The red Sophy almost taking a look back at us on the inside as Violet Sophy continues to make her way up. She had a hard time passing green, so we can try to use that to our advantage. As this one only 2 laps, as man, Sophy not afraid to drift through the corners here. If you did see my previous video, you know just how impressed I am with VR on the PlayStation 5, this PSVR 2, and I have just been having so much fun with it in my free time. And now with a really strong AI like Gran Turismo Sophy, it's even better, and I really hope that Sophy continues to learn, continues to improve, and we see more of her in the future. Not just in Gran Turismo. You know, Sony has an opportunity, I would imagine, who's a little bit of contact there, in the future to license Sophy or this type of system. And maybe we can see it in other racing games, because that would be awesome to have an AI that can learn from you. Oh man, coming down the hill in VR, then hard on the brakes. So cool as we get through the corner there. Sophy Blue still right on our tail there. Tell you what, that was intense. But that was 1 lap, and Sophy Violet is quickly approaching, having to check our mirrors quite a bit. Normally in Gran Turismo, when you pass somebody in a single player, you can just kind of keep your eyes forward. Not with Sophy, though. She is going to be on ya. So again, this is on the intermediate difficulty for this race. I'm scared to imagine what it would be like on Expert. Oh, man. So much elevation changes. Whoa, we're going to drift it in there. Didn't mean to, but downshifted a little too soon. Starting to leave the other Sophys behind. Violet's still there, though, but a little bit of a gap to her. Didn't get the best run through that corner, though. She might have an opportunity to catch up a bit there. Didn't take long, but Sophy is here. She's all over the back of us. So we head down into this long right-hander. She's going to drift right past us and take the lead there, but I'm going in for the slow in, fast out approach on this corner. Didn't quite work back, though. We're right behind her as we head through the straightaway. Look at all this momentum we have right here. Carrying as well, we make contact. She cuts us off there, and now she's going to drift wide. Does she save it? She does! What car control from Sophy! So now we go through this tight left-hander that also goes uphill. And Sophy, with the acceleration on the outside, we make contact with her, and she gives us a smile as she goes past. Now we need to use the slipstream and try to brake late into the corner to get past Sophy. Late on the brakes here. Sophy drifts it out, potentially a little wide, but not so. But actually, Sophy's going to get the better of us here on the intermediate difficulty. Across the line, Sophy Violet takes P1. We will take P2. You cannot relax for even a moment, even on intermediate difficulty, or Sophy will be there to take advantage. Race number 3 of the Race Together Sophy Challenge takes us to Trial Mountain, one of my favorite tracks in this game, actually. It's one I would really love to see in real life as we get going in our Corvette. What a spectacular car this is. Pretty easy to get past right there simply because of the horsepower difference. So, whoa, this Corvette's a bit slidey. So we make our way into the tunnel here. Oh, this car just wants to drift. It's all it wants to do in this configuration. But we're going to have such a huge advantage when we get up to the straightaways with our power advantage in the Corvette. Go through the right-hander a bit too hard and into the wall, and that allows both Sophys to catch up to us here. And hard on the brakes for another right-hander, through another tunnel, and into a left-hander that'll lead us on to this long straightaway. As I hear contact between the two Sophys, and Sophy Violet gets past us already, and look at the mean expression from her. She means business. So now we're just going to slipstream Sophy here down the long, long back straightaway towards the corner. As we catch up to the other cars. Who's going to brake first? Sophy Violet brakes first. We'll brake a little after, but do we make the corner? Yes, we do. Take that, Sophy Violet. Still got a couple things to learn. Get around past the red Sophy here as we head through this very fast but technical sector here. On the curbing there, Sophy Violet getting held up by the red a little bit. We can focus on Sophy Blue here as, ooh, bit of drifting it into the corner there, and it looks like a Toyota Supra. Hard on the gas as we head towards the final couple of corners. I don't know why, but I absolutely love how this final corners are set up here. Drifting her a little bit out of the corner, right up against the wall. Sophy Violet's falling a little bit behind. We're going to get past Sophy Blue here. Take the lead with one lap remaining. See if we can hold Violet up. But right now, she's going to have to deal with Blue as well, and she is not going to have made that pass by turn one here. Oh, man, this Corvette. Hard to slow down here. Well, Sophy Violet finally cleared Sophy Blue, and as we get ready to head for the final straightaway, we'll see if she makes another dive bomb move into this left-hander up here. She might be a little too far back, though, for it. Seeing her, but I don't see her directly behind us, but she did close the gap just a bit as we head through the tunnel and down the straightaway. Alright, so we stay ahead of Sophy down the straightaway and into the hairpin. But I make a huge mistake there, braking way too late, going deep into the corner. And how much did that allow Violet to catch up? Not as much as you'd think because of the run off through that corner. She got a bit of a gap here to these straights. But as you can see, we take it easy through that corner and it allows Sophy to get right onto the back of us. So she is truly an AI that'll capitalize on your mistakes, look for them, see where you're slower, and go for those moves. But like most people, you can hold her up on the apexes a bit, which is nice, because that is some pretty realistic behavior. She doesn't go for the move on the inside, it looks like, so we'll take it defensive line. But you can see she goes for it on the outside, but we take that apex from her. Does she try to do anything out of the final corner? She does. She's going to go to the left-hand side, but is not going to be able to make the overtake. And we will come across the line P1 in this race. So, 2 out of 3 so far. Not bad, I should say. But we got one more to go. So for the final race, we've gone ahead and chosen the beginner difficulty. Now, there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, I wanted to drive the GT3 Mercedes. It's one of my favorite cars, especially in Gran Turismo. And number two, let's see how difficult Sophy is on the easiest difficulty in the final race, because I guarantee she'll still put up a challenge. Let's get this race started. As always, Sophy Violet starts behind us. As we take the green flag, get past Sophy Vert, even though she goes for a blocking maneuver into turn one. The Suzuka circuit looks absolutely phenomenal in VR as we have an Audi TT up ahead in Sophy Rouge. Through the S's here at Suzuka. Not really a passing opportunity, so you kind of just have to stay in line right on the back of Sophy, which makes her angry, maybe that we're faster than her. Even though we're not passing her, she knows it. So we give her a bump, another angry face. We'll get down to the inside here, take the position as Sophy Violet still trying to make her first overtake of this event. All grouped together pretty well here as we headed underneath the bridge and towards the hairpin here. Looks like a McLaren is what Sophy Blue is driving. Can't tell if that's a GT3 or a GT4. It might be a GT4 spec car. See the outright speed advantage we have on the straightaways here in this GT3 configured Mercedes. Sophy Blue giving us perhaps a smiley face, not entirely sure what that was, but you can see Sophy Violet has passed the other two cars, so now she's just going to need to pass Blue, who drives us right to the wall as we head towards... could you imagine if we had gone through this side by side with Sophy? That would have been probably a nightmare. Of course, that's more than likely to happen on the 1v1 challenges. So 1v1 challenges are when you are in the exact same car as Sophy as we make a mistake, which allows Sophy Blue to catch us, pass us, as well as Sophy Violet. So now we can get a taste racing Sophy Violet here on beginner difficulty. Here, now you can see on the straightaway there's simply nothing she can do to prevent us from passing, but she runs a nice lane, allowing us to have to make the decision. Do we go for the dive on the inside, or do we have to stay in line? We're going to stay in line for now, see what the difference is. You can see how aggressive Sophy is on the curbing, much like a real person would be. Just astonishing how leaps and bounds this is better than their current AI, or really most AI I've seen. Sophy drives incredibly well, and with time, it'll only get better. So we're going to go for a move down the inside. She doesn't leave us much space. We make contact, and that sends her off the track. One of the things I've noticed when I've watched videos with Sophy is Sophy doesn't always know when to back out of it, though. They're very aggressive. They do know how to do racecraft, but they just don't seem to know how to... Maybe they know how to back off, they just don't ever seem to know when. And I wonder if that's something that Sony is aware of and is continuing to work on. Because while, for the most part, Sophy is absolutely phenomenal, when it does get into these side-by-side battles, or when it's trying to battle you, it doesn't always seem to know when to back off. It's always trying to overtake you. It doesn't know how to pick and choose its battles like a person was. So once again, Sophy Blue just taking up the middle of the racetrack. They'll get past pretty easily. And with Sophy Violet so far behind, this race should be pretty straightforward. You can definitely tell this is the beginner difficulty, but even then, some very interesting challenges, and still difficult when trying to overtake cars. It's almost like trying to do a multi-class race in lap traffic, as man, I cannot get through that corner, which does allow Sophy Blue to get right up to us. But bye-bye, Sophy. So as my time in this race with Sophy comes to an end, I want to let you know that if you have the chance, please do check out the races with Sophy. They're absolutely incredible. It is a limited time event in the Gran Turismo 7 menu. It may come back in the future. But the thing I find myself asking from this test, the most important question is this the future of racing AI? And I think it is. Sophy is hugely impressive. Again, obviously there's things to work out. There will always be things to work out. No system is ever going to be perfect. But this version of Sophy, or not even this version, but Sophy and the way that we have learning AI, it may just be the way to go in the future. So if you enjoyed this video at any point, leave a like, subscribe for more Gran Turismo 7 content and more racing game content, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!